guys? Have you been partying too much last night? Is it too hard? Is that your first visit to Finland? Really? Come on. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here this morning. Thank you, Slush, for inviting me. Today we're going to talk about Mobility 2.0. And let's first think about one thing. Let's make things clear, right? This is expectation management. I worked at Nokia for a long time enough to understand how to do that, or how not to do that. This presentation is not going to be about the design. I have it here, right? And I'll put it away. If you're interested, we're looking for funding. Now, I still want to thank Marco, Sami, and Duncan to set up the stage for what is the most important thing for us, which is still design, user experience, and so forth. So let's look at a couple of things. Why sports cars? Why did we decide to do sports cars? Well, there was a bit of serendipity. There was a bit of things that happened that we realized that made sense. But one of the reasons is passion, emotion, excitement, dreams. Sports cars push the boundaries not only of machines, but also of people, and give them an opportunity to learn about themselves. Now, dream is an important thing. Sports cars and cars in general have had a pretty big space in our lives. I believe everybody in this room has at least one memory for a car trip, a road trip. Maybe it was a driving movie for some of you. Maybe it was going to your first nightclub for others, like me. Maybe it was the back seat for some others, right? But we all have memories, and the generations, the future generations have as much rights to feel the same thing, to enjoy the same thing, and to dream about the same thing. So the automotive industry is in a bit of a challenge right now, but we believe cars will still be there in 10, 20, 30, 50, 100 years. They'll just be different. As Duncan said, it's all about being different. It doesn't have to be better, it has to be different, and it will be, thanks to technology. Now, let's look at technology. The light bulb. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows how to change a light bulb. Sometimes it takes more engineers than it takes more designers to change it. But ultimately, we know it. It brings light. It's cheap, it's a commodity, we can find it in any place. There's a whole industry behind that. Companies such as Philips, Osram base part of their revenues on it. But then something happens. The electronic industries discover the power of silicone and LEDs. They disrupt the lighting industry. Out of this place, half of the lights are LEDs. They're cheaper to produce. They're easier to handle. They run for 10,000 hours. A light bulb was 1,000 hours. Well, I don't really know why. Why not 800 hours? Why not 1,100 hours? I guess some people know the answer. But 10,000 hours of light, no heat, a lot more efficiency. But most of all, an industry that was doing electronic silicone creeped on the turf of an established, existing industry that is the light industry. Of course, Philips, Osram, and all these guys played catch up and you know, throwing enough money at it and marketing at it, got to a position where they managed to keep their market share, although they did lose a bit. But it gave room for a lot of companies to enter the market, to bring something new for consumers, something that was not necessarily always better, something that was different, but something that was more simple, that made more sense. And we're now moving in using a lot more of these technologies. Well, this is a puzzle. A puzzle that some engineers here probably know how to put together. A puzzle that some passionate probably also know how to put together. This is a traditional combustion engine. It's made out of hundreds of parts each and every one of them being a failure point for the motor. It's a really complex machine. It's a beautiful machine. But this is an electric motor. It's smaller. It has less parts. It's simpler to put together. It's simpler to maintain. And it is from an industry that has been running the factories that produce the traditional combustion engine. Electric motors are used almost everywhere in every single industry to power the machines. It's used in elevators. It's used in so many different places that they become ubiquitous. We don't even see them. We don't even think about them. They don't make any noise. They don't pollute. Of course, the energy you create might pollute if you're using coal or so forth, but the machine itself is 98% efficient. So let's keep on moving. When we talk about Scarlet Motors, people are like, why Finland? Why? What are you doing here? Well, there are a couple of reasons. Finland has passion. People are really excited about things, and they are really excited about cars. Now, there are really interesting guys that came from Finland. Keke, Mika, Heikki. Are these names familiar to you? These are Formula 1 racers. They're rally racers. And they come from a small place called Finland. And a lot of Finnish people are watching Formula 1. A lot of Finnish people are fixing their cars. And Finland does have the oldest car park in Europe, carpool in Europe. But technologies is also another reason. There are a lot of technologies in Finland. There are also manufacturing. There's a factory in Uusikaupunki that manufactures cars for Porsche, for Fisker, and soon for Mercedes. So a lot of things are here, and of course funding. I mean, we've got Tekes, public funding, more of those. We've got private investors, angel investors, wealthy individuals. Some of them are here. We've got venture capitalists. So money is here. And connection to Nordic markets. You can get to a lot of different places from Finland and even Russia. And of course, one thing is sisu. Sisu is that thing that when everything conspires against you, when everything is challenging, you'll still remind and say, sisu, I can do it, we can do it. Finns are really good at that. So the only thing that's missing is something that brings things together. And that's what Scarlet Motors is. An integrator. Now, let's look at cars. This is a car. Is that new? Well, a car that is put today on the market was designed and built in 2007 with the technology of 2007. I guess you can recognize some of these products. Would you still have one of these products in your pocket? Not necessarily, right? Now, if we think about experience, when was the last time that you sat in a car and you felt good about it? When you felt that this was the thing to do? That you had an opportunity in pushing forward, in feeling good about yourself and so on. No, the car experience is still the same. It hasn't necessarily changed. And of course, the business model. You buy a car today, as soon as you bought it, the dealer is already thinking, how am I going to sell you the next one? How am I going to sell you the parts, the service, so that I can make more money and I can run my business? You buy a car, it's already lost 20% of its value. Well, no wonder for a product that's 5 years old, right? So, looking at the next things, the industry does a lot of things wrong. But it's things that it has been doing for ages. It has a lot of legacy. And if you look at it, it is the top-down strategy. That as a car manufacturer, I will send requests for proposals. We know what we're doing. We've done that for so many years. Just give us a quote and we'll take the cheapest one with the level of quality that we want. They have such a heavy legacy that they have a hard time to move from one technology to the next, because they have also to pay back the investments that they made in the past. They bought heavy machines and they move forward with that, and they have to pay them back, and they keep milking the customers. This is a bit of a sample of how much it cost and how much time it took to develop 3 electric vehicles. 2 of them being plug-in hybrid, which means that they still have a motor, an engine in it that generates the electricity through gasoline, and one is purely electric. So, as you can see, big money, big time, small money, small time, and the balance is in between these two things, in between finding the right amount of time to go to market and the right amount to spend. But large companies have so much money to throw at things that they don't really count. Startups are in a need situation. They have to reduce their budgets and be as efficient as possible. Now, Tesla has had the strategy of first starting with the Roadster, opening showrooms where they sell the car online. You go to the showroom, you still sell the car online. But they still made huge investments in tooling, in machines, in land. They have a plant that is roughly 10 times as big as this hall. Most of it being so empty that they are putting a racetrack in it so that they can test the cars. Fisker is doing the same, except that they got smart at some point and started to work with a company that builds for them. But in the US, it's really difficult to do that because there are no contract manufacturers. Now, what we're looking at is doing things, as a hybrid between everything. We take the best part. We'll take the showroom, we'll take the subcontracting for the manufacturing, we'll become a fabless car manufacturer. Or we are a fabless car manufacturer because we don't have a legacy. Now, what we're doing is that we're putting things with a spin. We're giving a chance to companies to become partners, not necessarily just suppliers, but partners, and give them that opportunity to push their R&D and come to us and say, hey, we've got this great thing that we wanted to do for the past 10 years, but the automotive manufacturers never listened to us. Well, please, come in. Let's build on innovation. Let's bring these technologies to market, and let's work together to build a better future. Bridging the industries, working with a community of partners, a community of consumers, and drive the product from the consumer point of view. Put the consumer in the driving seat and have that direct connection. So this is a couple of things that the press has been saying about us. Whatever it ends up, we assume it will be fast. Yes, it will be. It's even less common when the company promises a switch up of the typical automaker's formula. Well, why would we do things the same way? It doesn't work. Let's do something new. And of course, the hell, it's 2012, and if we're not going to see innovation in the auto industry now, then when are we? Knight Rider was a series that started in 1982, gave a dream and a future. 30 years later, where are we? Where is that dream? Now, we had a private beta on our community. People joined in, registered, over 1,000 people in 3 months without doing any advertisement, just word of mouth and a bit of press. People are passionate, people that have technology, knowledge, know-how, and that want to push the boundaries. They've been starting to support, starting to give ideas, find components and so forth, and we're moving forward with that. And now the public beta is out, so you can just go and check out the website. You still need to register in order to get to the forum for the next couple of months. Now, we've been expanding the team because a startup is not just about a product. It's a business. And a business needs a strong team, needs people with talent. And I'm proud to announce Harri Santamala as our Chief Vehicle Engineer. Harri has worked a lot on electric vehicles in the past. He's designed an electric cab concept. He's worked on ERA, Electric Raceabout, as a Chief Mechanical Engineer. Electric Raceabout has a couple of records, one of them being the fastest electric vehicle on ice, as well as really good lap times on the Nordschleife, one of the famous racetracks in Germany. In total, we've got 14 people, and we're moving forward. Now, in terms of product, we need to push the product. We need to make things happen. So we are starting using the minimum viable product approach. That comes from lean startup coming from lean manufacturing, that comes from Toyota. So we're closing the loop. And basically, one of the first things that we're doing is ergonomics. We've been supporting the Finnish wood industry by putting together a mock-up. And that mock-up allows us to first see the car in real size, but it also allows us to test the ergonomics, sit people in the car. How do you feel? How does it feel? And so on. But then, of course, we've been working on engineering. We've been building our chassis with a famous Finnish car manufacturer, subcontractor, and we're moving forward into putting that together. And this is our next step. Our next step is to build that prototype, to get all these technologies together and drive. Thank you very much. If you want more information, you've got the website. If you want to be part of that dream, join the forum, join the community. And if you want to invest in something that is unique, this is the chance to do that today. Kiitos.